Good everybody, welcome. This is Paul Flynn, McGittofilms.org for the 24th of August, 2015. It's about 11:30 at night. I'm just going to do a quick vlog on just looking at this Josh Canfield and Reed Kelly story again, and I've come across more information, sadly, showing how they're literally, parading their sin in public. Now, the thing I want to look at today now, the story seems to have gone cold, and the problem is, like what happens with a lot of these stories, people just think, oh, it's just rumors, and then the story gets buried, and people don't remember, and people have very short attention spans. I dealt with Michael Brown's article before. He's, to my knowledge at least, I don't know if he's ever retracted his statements saying that people jump to conclusions too quickly. But anyway, I dealt with that in the radio show before. I also have a Hillsong apostasy playlist on YouTube for anybody who wants to check out that information. The videos go back probably about a year, I think, at this point, to the first show I did on Hillsong. I didn't do any song on, or any shows on Hillsong up until that point. Now, I'm going to only play the first minute or less than that of this video showing Josh Canfield and Reed Kelly, and the New Orleans Gay Pride Parade took place. It was at the end of June, I think. Now, again, this is before this story broke, and just to remind people that Reed Kelly, and I did this in a vlog, so I'm not going to spend too much time going through it, and if you want to listen to more of that, Hillsong New York City's gay couple issue statement contradicting Brian Houston's story. Brian Houston's story is completely contradicted by Josh Canfield and Reed Kelly, and also it's been, contradicted by the facts, so it's been shown to be untrue. Now, in the statement that Josh Canfield and Reed Kelly gave on Twitter, they said, it was the blog that went out that forced, right, this faceless end of days blogger, and I can't remember the name of the website again. I think it's end of something. I can't remember the exact name of the story, but anyway, it went viral and around the 10th of August. And actually, interestingly enough, this video went up on the 10th of August. But they said this has now forced our church to globally reaffirm their hard stance. I mean, it took the controversy to do that, to globally reaffirm their hard stance as a non-LGBT gay affirming institution. Now, it seems to be quite clear that they were continuing like normal in there, and there was a quote-unquote healthy and steady dialogue going on. They're trying to change the church from the inside, and if you've read their statement, that is quite clear. And okay, I'm going to skip on a bit, and we're going to look at an article that Josh Canfield recommended. If you look here, it says, thanks Jonathan Merritt for thoughtfully writing this story, and the Washington Post for sharing it around the world. Now, the story that they're talking about is, and it's been shared in a few places, it's the story why TV's Broadway boyfriends will keep singing with Hillsong Church, written by Jonathan Merritt of Religion News Service, who originally published the article. Now we talked about, I thought it was very interesting, and I'm kind of going back and forth here a bit, but I'm just going to play this. Again, this is last June. They are openly parading their grand marshals of the New Orleans Gay Pride Parade, a wicked city. New Orleans is known for being a sinful and wicked city, but also they are the ones parading it. They're the ones of the Grand Marshal. And, there are faithful Christians who often go to gay pride parades, like some of the churches I know will often go, and our church went to the one in Belfast there a few weeks ago to preach against this, and they are leading it from the front.
You know, it's funny, like 2 years ago when we were dating, I told Reed, I was like, I don't really want to be like a poster child for like gay.
He was like, I just don't know if I want to be, like out in the front of a parade, like holding a banner. And then literally yesterday, I was like, cut to.
By the way, you know that you're at the front of a parade waving a banner and being
For the
person
gays.
being like, we're gay! We are known as the Broadway boyfriends from Survivor. Now we're the Broadway fiancés.
We're thrilled to be down here as the celebrity grand marshals for New Orleans Gay Pride Festival.
We'd both.
Okay, so I don't want to play anymore. It's pretty disgusting, the rest of the video. And if you want to watch it, it's on this website, and you can look up the rest of it. But it's really horrendous, and I think you probably want to avoid it. Now, anyway, they were grand marshals of the Gay Pride Parade in New Orleans. They are still members. If you look at Brian Houston's statement from this month, and I mean, brethren, here, I don't want this story to die. I want pressure to be put on Hillsong to answer questions, especially if, and I see this is, Lord willing, this will hit them financially, and people will stop singing their songs. I mean, well, other reasons should dictate that people shouldn't sing their songs, but I digress. The terrible theology and also the terrible idea behind man-made songs in the first place. But anyway, now he talks about, in the statement, I love and accept people on a personal level, and, oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. Now he talks about his gay friends, after losing the quotation, but anyway, I've gone through in another vlog. Oh yeah, here it is. So if you're gay and you're welcome at Hillsong Church, of course, you are welcome to attend, worship with us, and participate as a congregational member. You can become a congregational member. You shouldn't become a congregational member unless you have a credible profession of faith. If you're homosexual, if you're a thief, if you're robbing your car from your next door neighbor, there's a good chance you're not a Christian, because you show by the fruit of your life that you hate God. Now, obviously, we're all sinners, we're all fallen, but we're talking about a credible profession of faith. You've been regenerated, made a new creature in Christ. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Now, this is the article that was said to be great by Josh Canfield. Now, and apparently this is the truth. And Jonathan Merritt writes that Canfield was a music director at Hillsong's campus in London and moved to New York City in part to help launch the congregation there. So he was one of the founding members, I could say. Soon after, he met Kelly, and they both served the church faithfully in various capacities. Kelly even hosted but did not lead a Bible study group in the home of the church. Shows how strong the leadership is there. In December, the couple informed Reverend Carol Lentz, the lead pastor in New York, that they were getting engaged, which triggered a series of personal and ongoing conversations. But they had been open from the get-go. The New York Times knew prior to this that they were homosexual. So on Survivor, they were open about it. In November of 2014, we have Brian Houston saying that Carol Lentz, I think it was Carol Lentz that told him, but he was aware anyway, at least. And this was on ABC's Nightline, and I posted that on the YouTube channel as well, that they were aware of a homosexual couple singing in the choir back then. They knew back then. They knew prior to this engagement. It wasn't just then that they found out or anything like that. And anyway, from the statement, it clearly contradicts Brian Houston's statement and attempt to bury the story. So, another thing that I found interesting in this article, similar typical things that you find, they're staying in the church because they say, well, what will change? And see, the thing is, they want the church to change. And it talks about in the article, well, they can join, but they're staying, they have certain limitations. Now, how would I put this? I'll read at the end of it. Canfield and Kelly have decided to keep singing with each Sunday at Hillsong despite the restrictions. They recognize the decision they've made is not one that every person in the position can make, but they believe is the right one for them. Now, this I found very interesting. If every gay person leaves the church because they have been treated poorly, nothing will change. Nothing will change. How do you mean treated poorly? You mean rebuked for sin, called to repent? They still want us, and we feel called to stay. Are you under church discipline for being grand marshals of a virulently vile parade? Have you ever seen one of these parades? They're horrendous. So, you see, they want it to change. Nothing will change. They want to stay there in order to change Hillsong New York City to being an openly at least, gay affirming church. They still want us, and we feel called to stay. And we're telling all our gay friends at Hillsong to do the same. I found this very interesting. We're telling all our gay friends at Hillsong to do the same. How many homosexuals are there in the congregations? And how long before they are a sizable minority to affect change? And how long before Hillsong stops pretending to be against homosexuality, and I think they are, before they change their stance? When the wind blows and they follow it because they're afraid that it will affect numbers coming through the door, because clearly filthy lucre and clearly money is what's leading them. Sadly, that is what is the case. By their fruits you shall know them. How many homosexual friends are there in Hillsong? It's an interesting question. And how long before the synagogue of Satan truly shows that it does not preach the Christ of the Bible, and we would be foolish to believe that they do, based on the fruit, based on their theology, and based upon that they do not practice any form of church discipline that I can see. Did they ever discipline people out of their church? I mean, even Brian Houston's father, who was a pedophile, he was suspended for a year. And it never came out properly until after his death. Now, I don't know the full ins and outs of Brian Houston's father, who was a pedophile abusing children. But there seems to be a pattern here with Hillsong, is there not? This has been Paul Flynn. Talk to you again soon.